can't give me the right to be a human being. I'm born with that right. Now you can keep me from having that if you've got all the policemen and all the jobs on your side.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another live stream here on the D Live channel. Thank you for joining me. Let me just make sure I have everything pulled up here. Alright, there we go. So today, this is the first show of what we're going to do weekly, kind of like the Wednesday, Alternate Economy Wednesday. This is going to be every Sunday, and it's just going to be a weekly review show, kind of what's going on. Especially with the Great Reset, what's going on with businesses being shut down across the country and how they're fighting that, how they're fighting being shut down. So that's one of the major things we're going to cover in this show, as well as, what it's going to start coming down to in this country is enforcement. And so I really want to start showing more about how our law enforcement, because those are the ones that are going to be enforcing these rules when it all comes down to it. So I want to start showing what it is, how law enforcement, how they act, how we can act. So I just want to start how we can act around them to prevent from being put in jail, or at least make it so the optics make the police look bad. So anyhow, I want to thank everybody again for joining me. If you're watching this on a different platform other than D-Live, it's because you're watching it the next morning when I've uploaded it to another platform. Hopefully you're not watching me on YouTube. If you are, make sure to check the description of the videos. I have links to all the other platforms like Library, 3Speak, BitChute, D-Live like we're on here, DTube, Minds.com. So there's all sorts of other platforms you can follow me on that don't censor like YouTube does, that at least try to fight censorship. So please make sure you're getting on some of those other platforms and following me there as well. I do appreciate that. Hey, Nick McMinn, the country has gone to hell. You're correct about that. All right, so let's see. Let me get my notes so I can see what we got going on. So the first thing I just want to point out, I am part of the Freedom Cell Network. I've started one here in Eastern Washington, and I encourage you guys in your area to get on freedomcells.org and look and see if you have a Freedom Cell already created in your area. If you don't, I would suggest creating one. It doesn't take a whole lot of work. It's just a matter of getting organized with people. So I'm going to throw some links to everything I talk about in the chat tonight. Yeah, I'm learning how to do that, Nick McMinn. You're right. I was just realizing that before I went on to the broadcast tonight, that I don't have anything in my About section here with all those links. So I'll make sure I do that as soon as this feed is over tonight. But thank you for bringing that to my attention. I appreciate that, my friend. So there's the link to the freedomcells.org website. I've started one here, and I guess why I like that is it's a little more geared towards setting up a new economy, setting up a future outside of the current system that keeps us in servitude or slavery, depending on how you look at it, both kind of the same thing. But another one I want to talk about is people's rights, especially here in Washington. The People's Rights Organization or group has really helped in stepping up and helping some of the restaurants and bars that have decided to open against King Inslee's edicts. So I would really look into them as well, peoplesrights.org. Let me go ahead and throw that up there as well. They are more centered, they're more of a constitutional-based organization, and they are more centered in trying to get our government to recognize our freedom and just kind of establish that in general. So there's a little bit of the differences between the two, but I belong to both organizations. Kind of a leadership locally in both of them, just because I decided to get it going and help out. So I would check out both of those. The other thing, I don't talk about this a whole lot, but I really need to start talking about it a lot more, especially with talking about getting off of these platforms. Yeah, it is a little bit different, Nick McMinn. D-Live is a little bit different. I'm getting used to it, but I like it. I like the platform so far. Another place you can find me is on ROKU. The Activism News Network. There's 20 other activists, civil rights activists that are on there. with me. And it's a great way. It's commercial free. It's all on demand. You can watch any of it. Everything we upload, for the most part, to all our other platforms is on there. Plus some exclusive content from each creator is on there as well. So like I said, it's just a great group of civil rights activists. There's Second Amendment activists, First Amendment activists, just a whole different plethora of activists there. So I like that channel. I'm really proud to be a part of it and the group that's there. I recommend you go check that out for sure. So let me throw the link to that up as well in the chat. Excuse me. Get that up there. All right, so there's the link to that, the Activism News Network. So I just really wanted to plug that really quick because like I said, I'm really proud to be part of that group. It's a really good group of people like me that are more kind of laid back, a little but just, I don't know, I'm not going to get in your face as much, and some of the people that really are going to get in your face, and we need all different aspects. So although some of my viewers probably think I get in people's faces a lot, so all right, so the next thing I want to talk about is, like I mentioned, people's rights has really been stepping up in the state of Washington and helping people out with like the restaurants for standing up for their rights, being able to stand up against these tyrannical orders from King Inslee. They've also helped out with recently a grocery outlet in Longview, Washington. There was someone they were trying to trespass from the building. So Kelly Stewart, one of the leaders, I believe she's actually the statewide leader for the group. She stepped up and helped out in both situations and kind of got the sheriff in Lewis County to understand what his role is, or at least help him what his role should be or is supposed to be as the sheriff of Lewis County and standing up for the rights of people against a tyrannical government. So that was kind of nice to see. And then, like I said, she helped out with some police that were called in Longview, Washington, to a grocery outlet. So I'm going to play a little bit from both those videos. I think there's some important things she said in there. But I just wanted to highlight that, like I said, that organization is really good. They've been stepping up to help people in the state of Washington, and I think we should support them. So like I said, I'm just going to throw the link up there. I'll go to the website one more time. I'll throw that link up there again. They've really been helping people out. And it's a really good way to get connected with your community. They really focus on just helping out their neighbors and their community members that are their freedom or their rights are being trampled on, whether it be by the government or any other group. So definitely check them out. All right, so this first video is after, let's see, this is published on the 29th, so I think it happened. I can't remember if it was that night or maybe it was the 28th. Is the day this actually happened. But it was, so this is in Lewis County. This is out in front of the neighborhood, the road that goes into the neighborhood where the Sheriff Snaza of Lewis County is, where he lives. And this is some people from People's Rights. And I want you guys to understand People's Rights and the Freedom Cells, these are decentralized groups. There's no like one leader to any cell or group or anything like that. These are just people that care about their neighbors. That want to come together and form these groups so we can have power, because there's power in numbers. So that's kind of what these groups are about, being able to connect with your neighbors who are like-minded and have that power that numbers provide. So I'm just going to play a little bit of this video. I'll quit talking now. Like I said, this is members of the People's Rights. Mainly, I believe it's Kelly Stewart talking to the sheriff and some of the sheriff's deputies that were there. Excuse me. Let me get it 1 second here. I'm trying to get everything figured out where everything is again. Kind of changed my layout here so I can get this playing. All right.
People from coming into a business.
It's a private property. It's private property,
so
right?
If they don't want people in their, their establishment, they would call.
So they had just shown up here. This is one of the sheriff's deputies. Now, the sheriff had already called these deputies out because they had found out the people were on their way to his house, his residence. So they showed up and put a blockade in front of this private road that goes back to where there's a neighborhood and a bunch of different homes. So they blocked it off. So no one except the residents could get back there. So that's one of the issues Kelly had that she's confronting him with. But this is just one of the deputies out here for now.
Labor and Industries, OSHA, the governor's office, they do not want them coming in and infringing upon their rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
So you're saying if we call, so if Bonfires calls when LNI and the health department start harassing them, then we can call the sheriff and say, hey, they're here harassing us. You will come to protect us?
Well, that's the problem. That's exactly what you're supposed to do.
Yes, you can.
He can't do that. No, they do not have the authority to violate the people's rights. They have authority to protect the people's rights. They don't have authority to violate the people's rights.
Again,
Do you see the confusion with what your job is right now?
our job is to
Protect the people.
And to enforce.
You can't do the same. Sometimes you can't do them one and the same. Sometimes in order to protect the people's rights, you have to not enforce constitutional laws. Hitler and Stalin passed laws too. The Nuremberg trials.
That's illegal. Hitler and Stalin.
All right, so that's really important here because that's what we're running into with these policy enforcers. I'm not going to call them law enforcement anymore because these aren't really even laws that they're enforcing and that they're trying to hold up. They are policies of the corporation, and they enforce those. So they are policy enforcers, and that's what she's trying to say is that you're no different from the Nazis under Hitler or Stalin, the Italians under Stalin, when anyone can create a law. Any group of people or one person can call themselves a government and say, anybody inside of these imaginary lines has to follow these rules from now on. Anyone can do that. And especially if they have goons like this to enforce those rules, anyone can do that. So when you have a constitution, that's what she's trying to explain. A constitution says this, well, then you're making up rules that are outside of the Constitution that don't follow what the Constitution says. That makes you the same as the Nazis, because now they can just make up any rules they want and you're going to enforce those rules because you're a corporate policy enforcer and this is a corporation that is creating rules. So that's what she's trying to establish with this guy. Hopefully it buffered a little bit so it won't stop anymore while I was explaining that.
Have you seen the suicide rate right now, what it's doing in Washington State? It is through the roof. That is not a reach. People are dying.
I agree.
Businesses are dying.
I agree.
People are losing their properties.
I agree. But
Those individuals are no different than the Jews.
But my personal opinion is irrelevant here.
It's not about opinion. It's about defending the rights of the people. Just like you're doing right now for the sheriff's agencies that are trying to infringe upon rights. It'd be the same thing. You would say, you have a right to enforce law here, but you don't have the right to strip farmers. No laws. The legislation has not heard this. You're the executive branch. You cannot write laws.
I agree.
We are not enforcing these, and LNI will not step foot on this property.
We aren't enforcing it. We're not.
And LNI will not step foot on this property if the business has asked his job.
No, it's not his job.
It's not. Then what is his job?
His job,
To enforce the law. So you keep going up. The lawmakers give you the orders and you do them, right?
Yes, regardless of whether.
How many branches of government do?
And so this is the other thing that she's trying to enforce there, is she's trying to enforce with this deputy so if you're here telling us that you're protecting the property rights of the people that are beyond this road here on this private road, and you're not allowing us there because you're protecting our rights, then you should be doing the same when Labor and Industries for the state of Washington shows up at Farm Boy, a diner that just had was held in contempt of court for allowing people to sit inside their, the audacity to allow people to choose out of their own free will to sit inside your restaurant and dine. So they were held in contempt of court for that. So what she's saying is when Labor and Industry comes into their building or tries to, are you going to show up and make sure Labor and Industry respects the private property rights of that restaurant, of that diner, Farm Boy Diner? So that's a really important point that she's making, and she's going to make that in another video coming up. So that's just really important. I just threw the link up to this video in the chat. This is on, I think, a Rumble page. So go check that out. The whole video is really good. She talks to the sheriff for quite a while there and basically puts it to him like that. Like, no, you are not going to be infringing on the rights. You will not, we, the people, will not allow this to happen. So it's a pretty good video. Like I said, the link, I threw it up there in the chat. Go check that out. If you're watching this on, in one of the other platforms the next morning, Monday morning, it'll be in the description of the video, so you can check out any of the sources. Everything I'm using here, you can check out in the description of the video. All right, so let's see. Moving on. So the next one, this is a woman in was it a grocery outlet in Longview, Washington? And she had the police called on her, and she was going to be trespassed by the police just for trying to shop without a mask at this grocery outlet. So she sent out a notice to People's Rights in Washington in her area. So it says right down here in the corner, 80123. So just real quick, I'll break in. If you do want to be part of People's Rights and get notified when people in your area are having their freedom infringed upon, text rights to 80123, and that'll get you put into the system, and you'll receive a text message, and some information about how they can contact you for meetings and things like that as well. But text rights to 80123 if you want to join the People's Rights Organization, and it'll just lump you in the right group based on where your location is. So pretty easy to do there. So like I said, this video is the cops have showed up because they've been asked to trespass this woman from the grocery outlet. And so Kelly does a great job of just kind of putting it back on the cops. Like, are you going to give restaurants and businesses that have decided to open, against some of these edicts from King Inslee, are you going to give them the same courtesy, are you going to defend their private property rights just as you're doing here? So that's a really good way to, when the police come, when these policy enforcers come to enforce some of this stuff, these are good ways to argue some of that. As well as I've got some forums. I think I did them in the Alternate Economy Wednesday show last week. I'm going to put a link to those. I think it's aceofcards.com is the website. Like I said, I'm going to put the link. I can't remember right off the hand, but I'll make sure I put the link to those in the description of this video as well for the other platforms. All right, so let me play a little bit of this here.
Well, I said religious exemption.
Yeah, well, either way, they're both allowed by the governor's mandate.
Okay, they called us here. We didn't just show up by chance.
Oh, okay, well, we're not disturbing anything. We're buying their product and we're getting out of here.
I'm trying to shop, and he was bothering me. He was harassing
They're the ones that called
by
us.
following me around.
So we're now calling on you to defend us. So now we're turning it because
I'm
you're
with
here.
these guys.
Okay.
We're all together.
And we need your help
We're
to
all
defend
together.
us.
And we got more people coming.
Okay.
Hello, welcome.
And
By the
what's
way,
the additional
thank
people
you,
supposed to tell me?
McMahon. I didn't see
The
that.
same
Did you
thing
donate
is
a
that
lemon? I very much
our rights
appreciate
need to
that.
be defended.
Yeah,
Okay.
per the governor's mandate, a medical exemption is
More.
allowed.
And a religious exemption.
More
as
people.
well.
Okay.
More people
We
coming.
have all
Okay,
rights
here, I'll
for
talk
goods
to
and
her.
services.
Okay.
We got more people coming. We're not
So-
separating.
I'm not asking you to separate. I was just going to talk to her while he's talking to you.
Yeah.
All I was going to say is your right does allow you to walk around without a mask, but this is a private business. They do not have to allow you in without a mask.
And they did, and he actually said at the front, he said, no problem, as long as you got a medical exemption, which we all have.
Okay. But at this point, they're asking you to leave, and if they don't
haven't
have to
asked us
have
to
a
leave.
reason, well, they have through us.
I already bought groceries, though.
around harassing
They
me.
have through
and
us.
calling
They're
the
asking
police
you all
on
to
me,
leave.
which is
Hey,
harassment.
real quick, let me go back up.
Yeah, okay.
Talk with
Why
the
don't you
manager
go talk
again.
to him?
Why don't you bring
Okay.
the manager
Go
over
talk to
here? I
Well,
mean,
no, because he doesn't have to talk to me and then have 13, 15, 20 people asking him questions at once. That's not how police work. I talk to you civilly, calmly. I go talk to him civilly, calmly,
Okay,
without
that's
other
fine.
people talking over each other.
Okay, you
All
can go
right.
talk to him. Go.
Steffi's has opened and they have court. I don't know if it's a restaurant right around the corner. And they have court on Thursday. So I hope that when Labor and Industry shows up and harasses them and they say, you need to get off my property, I hope Mr. Officer Delap, you're going to do the same thing.
We
Okay?
absolutely will.
So whether
Well,
it's
Labor and
OSHA-
Industries is a little different because they have certain authorities that civilians don't have. So.
Really pay attention to right here. He's talking about he thinks he has authority over our lives, and that's where they are trained to think that they do have authority over our lives. When even if you do believe in this stuff, The only way they have any authority over our lives is if they have probable cause and suspect us of a crime. If they don't have that, then they don't have any authority over our lives. Excuse me. If you believe like I do in the non-aggression principle, if I haven't done anything to hurt anyone else, damage or steal anyone else's property, or defraud anyone else, then they have no authority and they can use no force against me. That's the way it works with the non-aggression principle. That's the way it should be everywhere, honestly. Why are we allowing force to be used against us when we have done nothing to anyone else? And that's what government does to us all the time. So we really need to step back and start understanding what it's like to be free. And that's what she's going to kind of talk about here is you don't have authority over people's lives. Who gave you that? So I just wanted to point that out before I proceed here.
That civilians don't have. Did you really just say that out loud? That's so sad.
Do you not understand that? Just like I have authorities that you don't have.
But where did your powers come from?
From the state of Washington.
No, they were actually delegated to you from the people. Go read your constitution.
Okay, I'm not going to argue with you.
That's how you end things, right? Your power was not delegated from the state of Washington. It was delegated from we the people.
Yep,
you can do nothing that I don't have the power.
I'm not an elected person. Okay, I'm hired by the city to uphold the laws of Washington.
Your powers come from the people. Your powers come. This is not China. Your powers come from the people.
Yep, that's right.
And if Stuffies calls you on Thursday and says, LNI is here, this is private property, I want them to leave, you are here to protect and serve. You are not the Gestapo for the establishment. You actually work for the people.
That's right.
We pay your paychecks,
That's
not the
right.
state of Washington. The state of Washington produces nothing, right? We are the producers right here.
Yep, we are. We're the people.
Paying your salary.
Yep, all of us.
So that you can sit here and tell me you have authorities that I don't have. That
Yeah.
is not how
That's not how it works.
That's
And
how
it's
China works.
it is actually our job to keep you accountable.
I don't.
I do.
Oh, so citizen arrest isn't a real thing?
It's not a real thing.
What?
Oh, what?
Since when?
You don't have the authority to go around and just arrest people.
No.
Neither do you.
Yes, I do.
No.
To anybody? You can just arrest anybody.
I can arrest people who I have probable cause to arrest.
There you
Probable
go.
cause
That's
to
how,
have broken a law.
that's how a citizen's arrest works.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how
You
a
have to
citizen's
be
arrest.
interrupting
Yeah.
a crime. I can't just go arrest anybody, and you can't just go arrest anybody either.
I didn't say I could.
You did. You said
No,
you
I
have the
said I have authority
to
to arrest people. I did not say to arrest innocent people.
Oh, well,
You're
good.
putting words in my mouth.
Good. So then you're going to leave us alone to
Yeah.
shop
I
and
didn't
eat.
ever
That's
say
right.
that you guys were under arrest, did I?
Thank you.
All right, let's just do our shopping. This
All right.
is crazy.
Thank you.
Let's let him leave. We're all stand there and have his authority and stand there by himself.
All right, so in the end there, they were not trespassed. They were allowed to stay there, so that's cool. And I just threw the link up to that full video on the People's Rights of Washington YouTube channel and page, so make sure you go check that video out. Watch the whole thing. I'm not going to play any more of it. Basically, what happened in the end is the other officer came back, and I'm sure he just kind of had a conversation about what this might look like for the grocery outlet. Basically told, and so he came back out and said, the manager said, go ahead, finish your shopping, just try to do it quickly, and go ahead and they'll take care of you, and then go ahead and leave. So pretty good response there for what happened. Excuse me. But I just thought that was really important how she talked about, well, if you're going to enforce private property rights at a business like this, you have to also make sure you enforce them at at Stuffy's, is another restaurant here in the state of Washington that's standing up to the tyrannical edicts of King Inslee. So she wanted to make sure if you're standing up for these people's private property rights, you have to do it for this restaurant too that's going against what the ruling class says. So I just thought that was really important. Let's see. So the other thing real quick I just wanted to cover, this was pointed out to me in a group I belong to, and I wanted to point out the first two things. So this is the pre-filed bills in the state of Washington for the upcoming sessions, what they're going to be discussing and try to get put into, I guess, law. And the first two on here, when this was pointed out to me, I thought were kind of important. HB 1000, expanding mental health support for law enforcement officers, and HB 1001, establishing a law enforcement professional development outreach grant program. So these, believe it or not, are actually tied into the defund the police movement, if you kind of look into them. But I just wanted to point this out. I'll put the link to this in the chat as well, so people can go check out. It has, if you click on the links of the bill itself, the proposal, it will actually take you to, you can kind of see what's going on with it. Here's the initiative, so you can search for the full text of the bill and it'll bring it up. So you can actually read what's in there, and you can do that for any of them listed there. So I encourage people to go look and see what is actually happening in your government. Honestly, myself, I don't spend a whole lot of time in this stuff because none of it applies to me. I don't follow any of this BS anymore. None of it pertains to me. I didn't agree to any of it. Just because I'm inside some imaginary lines that are drawn on a piece of paper representing the earth doesn't mean that I am under the jurisdiction of any of these BS rules, because most of them are just about controlling us and benefiting the ruling and predator class at the cost of the middle class. So I'm not going to partake in it anymore. But if you believe in government and think we have to have government, I would highly encourage you to go look at these and see what your government is doing, so you can at least try to hold them accountable and understand what they're about. But just like Kelly Stewart just said there, government they're takers. They're not creators and producers. That's the rest of us. So just want to touch that briefly. The other thing here, so in Portland, Salem, where the capital is, I don't know if you saw a video I put out recently, what happened there when they tried to get into the Capitol for a session, an in-person session there. Well, since then, things have heated up. A lot of the people, the so-called kind of patriots, as they're described as, that usually tend to back the blue, have actually started to get pretty upset with how the blue line is defending the corporation instead of the rights of the people, which obviously I could have told you that was going to happen, but hey, I guess everybody needs to experience it on their own to learn. So this is the learning process for this group. And this is kind of interesting here. This video, it says police use armed Antifa or BLM against patriots in Oregon. My guess is these guys I kind of heard this thrown around. These are probably undercover people, and they just decided to fall back with the police when things maybe got a little bit sketchy. But I just thought I'd play a little bit of this video, a little bit for that, just to show you how people are reacting to stuff like this. But also, so you guys can understand that the police are starting to lose the support from the people that back them. And I think that's really important as we move forward in this great reset.
Hey, what's up, YouTube? So the police are using armed Antifa here against the Patriots. Yeah, I mean, he's got like a paintball gun or something, but whatever it is, they're using it against the Patriots, the same people who have burnt their buildings and things. Now they're using them against the people the Patriots who have tried to protect them. So this is what it is, guys. Get ready, get used to it. This is just the beginning. Take a close look and prepare yourselves, because this is the game that's going to be played. Understand it, educate yourself to it, and get with the program. Trump 2020. Obviously, we're going to keep fighting. However, understand the game.
That is insane. You
Share
just
this.
let an armed man come over to our side to antagonize us, and you stand behind him? What the fuck is going on here?
Seriously. There's two Black Lives Matter people.
Honestly,
brandishing their guns. You guys are doing
white liberals convinced Black Lives Matter.
Is that right? Is that how you feel? While he's wearing the BLM and they're teaming up here.
Right. What is this right here? You backed it to me. You backed Black Lives Matter. I just want to be clear.
What are you guys going to do? What are you guys going to do about the situation? Are you guys going to de-escalate a situation that's going to get out of hand or no?
Our kid's going to grow up. Who's going to do any of this stuff? Right and wrong is written.
All right, so I'm going to stop it just for a quick second there. Basically, I wanted to show that part because you can see they're playing into the two-party paradigm right there. And the cops are just letting that happen. So they put these guys, like I said, I feel like those are probably undercovers, posing as BLM possibly. That's why the cops were so friendly to them, as they knew that. And I'm not saying all the cops are in on this, but there are enough that do these kind of tactics, but that just fits in. They're just letting these guys kind of go at each other, and that fits into the two-party paradigm. We got the Patriots versus BLM and Antifa, and just going to go at it, and that's what causes the police to have to step in. Is we got to keep the peace, and we don't want things to get out of hand. So even before they do, then the cops are going to step in with tear gas and things like that. So that's why I wanted to show that part. I am going to fast forward a little bit because I want you guys to hear the end and start to hear the anger that is coming out of these. Like I said, the people described as patriots. You can hear the anger towards the policy enforcers of the blue line, and I think that's pretty important moving forward because those are the ones who support the blue line gang.
They're chasing people down now. Okay, guys. They're arresting some patriots, it looks like, down here.
This is the Salem Police Department. This has been declared an unlawful.
Yeah, he just got. He's not going to flip us.
Pursuant to order 166.
Go, move! Hold the line! Hold the line!
Smells like baby powder.
Chris, the line! Yeah, I think that's the second.
There, now you can really start hearing them yell at the cops. And hey, you took an oath to the Constitution. Do your job. You can really start hearing them yell that.
Looks like one of the Proud Boys is getting arrested currently.
Still very angry. Respectful.
In here. This guy's ready to go. This guy's ready to go. This guy's ready to go.
Okay, so that's enough of that. Like I said, I just wanted to show that because the difference in about a week or a week and a half from before Christmas when they were in Salem trying to get into the Capitol to now, I saw some clips of some blue line flags being dragged through the ground, being stomped on right in front of the police. So that's a really important kind of change in attitude, and I think that's going to be pretty significant moving forward. So keep an eye on that as this kind of the civil war that's being stoked progresses. So then the last thing I wanted to show you guys, so this is in Mobile, Alabama. The Activism News Network that I mentioned earlier, right there, just pop that up. One of the members of that is News Now California, and he happened to be in Alabama. I don't know if sure a lot of you are aware, but there's been some issues in Alabama. I think Pritchard was one of them. Actually, a bunch of the people in the Activism News Network group were a few of them were arrested there for absolutely no reason at all, no cause at all. So the cops there are completely out of hand, and it seems like in Alabama they are in general. There was actually a lady, I believe, trespassed from a store for not wearing a face mask there. That's looking for some help. So I'm trying to get her in touch with the right people there. But anyhow, this is on the 31st, so New Year's Eve, in Mobile, Alabama. It's not even nothing major happens during this cop watch, but I thought it was kind of important because just what it says right here. Did our cop watch help? We really don't know. Well, I would say it did, and I'm gonna play it, and then I'm gonna explain why I think it did.
All right, guys, let's get going on this. Mobile, Alabama. Some kind of investigation and ensued here. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6 cops here.
right, so I'm just going to pause there and come up to where they have a little bit of a conversation here. Just because I just wanted to show that first part where he's showing up there, counts how many cops there are. Then you can see they walk around to another side here. I'm just going to fast forward through all that. But now that now you can see they're on the other side over here of the road than they previously were. So that's why I think this is important. Cop watching is even if they didn't catch anything big here, maybe they prevented something from happening. Anytime cameras and multiple cameras show up, these policy enforcers start behaving better because they don't, most of them, when they leave these jobs that force them to threaten violence against people who haven't done anything to anyone else to gain compliance, are fairly decent people. It's like the story of the mob guy that, breaks arms and shoves people in trunks, but then goes home. He's a good family man at the end of the day. It's kind of like that. So it's important, though. These guys don't want to be seen doing bad things. They don't like being seen doing these evil deeds that they do. So if you have cameras around, they behave much better, especially when they don't have control to how the video gets out and where it gets out and things like that. That's why I just want to say, yes, anytime you record the police, it is helpful. So that's that. Like I said, that's why I wanted to play this. But I just want to play a little bit of the conversation because I think when they show up, the way they kind of walking around, looking a little bit suspicious at the police, counting how many are there, things like that, that's what sets the narrative that says, hey, we're not here just to, oh, look, the police are here saving us all. No, they're setting it up like the police are here. They're the ones that are tearing apart our communities. So it sets that narrative. Now when they do interact with the police, the interaction is a lot more cordial because the police are trying to establish that oh, we are here for good. So just a little tip, if you do record the police, do that. Act like you're conducting an investigation against some crime and they're the ones that are committing the crime, because really they probably are. They probably have violated someone's freedom of movement without any probable cause of an actual crime. Speeding is not an actual crime. There's no victim. Not turning on your blinker is not an actual crime. There's no victim. They use those as probable cause to stop our freedom of movement, and that's not okay. So it's always good to record them.
What happened?
And I'm sure these cops in Mobile have been put on notice because of what else has been going on in Alabama. They've been getting a lot of attention there lately on the police there, so they've probably been put on notice to, hey, behave if you see cameras show up.
They do really good around here about closing their cabs. Texas not so good. All the cabs are closed? Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah, they're good around here. Yeah, y'all been listening to keep the cabs closed. Where we're from, they always forget to close them, so we get a little insight of what happened, I said the cab, the computer that y'all carry. Oh. Y'all do a really good job here in this city of closing them when on your stops. Y'all want to share a little insight of what happened?
We don't have any rank. We can't tell you anything.
Gotcha. With somebody with rank?
You're more than welcome to ask.
Okay, that sounds like a no.
All I want to know is, does this start from a traffic stop? That's all I want to know. But does he do it like an infraction, a traffic infraction? You got him stopped? Is that a sergeant?
How y'all doing?
Good. How are you?
Yeah.
You the senior guy? Your colleague said that we just want to know if you can make a comment. Okay. At Dillard's.
Yeah, if you could just turn in the cash.
All right, so anyhow, I'm going to stop that one there. Like I said, I want to start highlighting some cop watching when I do this show, because these are the ones that are going to be enforcing these mask rules. The rule that if you don't have your health passport up to date, you're trying to go shopping and the store refuses you entry. These are the people, these policy enforcers that are going to be confronting us. So it's good to understand how to communicate with them. And like I said, this one, when you show up and you make it look like they are the ones in the wrong, then when you do talk with them, they're automatically trying to fix that. They're trying to make it look like, no, we are the heroes. So they're going to interact with you better. So that's why I wanted to show this one, just how they came up and approached it. They weren't mean. They weren't yelling anything at the cops, but they just approached, okay, how many of them we got here? Just looking around like, hey, what is going on? it makes the cops, it puts them right immediately. Oh, we have to make it look like we're the heroes, so we're going to be all nice. And so that's just something to think about as you're interacting with police, because if you are standing up to these orders, it's going to happen more and more, because as I'm sure you're aware, they aren't going away. They're not getting rid of these things. So that's it for the night, folks. I do want to thank you for joining me. Like I said, just getting going on D-Live here, so we don't have a whole lot of subscribers on the channel yet, a lot of followers, but we're getting there. I want to thank Nick McMinn. I want to thank you for the lemon. I appreciate that, and I thank you for joining me tonight. And I want to thank the other viewers, a few of them that stopped in, for joining me. It's much appreciated. I do appreciate all the support. So until next time, I guess real quick, I will be doing this. So every Sunday I'll be doing this at 7 p.m. Pacific time. We'll just be recapping the week. I'm going to try to do a little bit more of the cop watching stuff, do a little bit better job of keeping an eye on what's going on throughout the week, and making a mental note of which ones I need to keep track of for this show. Like I said, I appreciate y'all joining me. Join me next week on Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific time for another weekly review. Also, don't forget to join me on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. here on D-Live for Alternate Economy Wednesdays. So until next time, live free. Peace out.